Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in my previous video we have learned this simple and easy basic watercolor landscape painting. So in today's video I'll show you one more, but before that let me show you I'm using this 300 GSM watercolor sheet cold pressed. So depend on brand to brand, you might have different sheet, but I think 300 GSM is perfectly fine to have something like this. Now in the lower portion, I'm creating one more basic tutorial for the beginners. So we just need to create a basic guideline. So I'm creating a mountain. These mountains are at distance, and then in the foreground, we have a couple of ground area. We have pine trees visible. We have a couple of flowers in the ground. So those things we are going to do. So you can divide your structure on that basis and you can define in which area you want to place what. So it does totally depend on you. You can have your own composition. So let's start with the watercolor. I'm using this bigger brush because I need to wetten my sheet and it is easier for me to do this with the help of bigger brush. So that's why I'm doing it. Now just spread water around the mountain area. And I'm doing it part by part. So I'm not wettening the whole sheet, but I'm only wettening the mountain area. And then with the very light shade of blue color, I'm mixing little bit of green into it. You can just go around and have the mountain structure. So you can have it something like this with little darker color is totally fine. And then just blend it with the help of clean water. You can make it lighter as well in this particular step, or you can add more color into it. So basically these mountains are at distance, so we don't want to highlight too much, but little bit color like this is totally fine. Now with the help of little more extra color, I'm just going around the edge of the mountain and creating some spikes with the help of tip of my brush. These are very fine. So basically you can assume we have multiple trees around this particular mountain, but those are obviously not visible because this is far away. So something like this you can do for the mountains, and we are done. I'm not using masking tape, so I'm not using the corner of my sheet. If you are using masking tape, you can definitely do it throughout. Now I'm applying water around this particular area wherein I want to create some ground. So I'm applying only at one side. So I'll finish one side first and then I'm going to do the another side. Now with the help of this particular green, you can mix blue and lemon yellow together to have something like this. And you can mix more yellow to make it a little lighter. So this is yellow green color. And I'm just going around the area which I have created to create some pine trees. Also, I'm going to create some flowers at the end. So let's apply this particular color throughout. You can keep everything lighter. You can have more colors into it. So these things you can decide by your own. Now I'm adding darker color in between this particular area. So I don't want to hide the previous color, but I want to see the darker green as well. So I have created one more section at the base with the darker color. In between I have darker green and then the yellow green color at the background. Now I'm mixing more blue to make it little darker and then just going again. So you can always start with the lighter color and you can add more and more darker color, and do it when your sheet is damp, not too wet, not too dry, to get the perfect result. Otherwise, if it is too dry, you will not able to blend the darker color. If it is too wet, you will not see the difference between the color. So perfect time is always important. How much water you have into your sheet is always important. How much water you have into your brush is also important. So do this whenever you want to blend multiple colors. Make sure your sheet is damp, which means not too wet, not too dry. So that's the funda. So I have created something like this. I can see multiple green texture around this particular area. Now in this area I'm again wettening it with the help of water. Just apply water in this particular area to wetten the sheet, and then I want it to be more on the blue side, so I have added more blue into it. I am creating the middle section first, and then you can have little lighter green color towards the upward direction, and make sure you are having little bit of texture and pattern to showcase we have some elements like trees and all at distance. So either you can keep it like this is also perfect, or else you can have one more layer of green. So I'm adding one more layer here. And always remember when to stop, because in watercolor we always do more and more and we end up having too much. So it is always better to understand when to stop. So this much is enough, I guess, for the background effect. I'm adding little extra color here to make it more darker. Okay, now I think I'm pretty much done. Now I think this much is enough. I also want to have a little bit of clouds in here, so I'm applying water and then very light shade of cobalt blue color. I'm keeping the negative space between the mountains and the clouds, so that white area is something important. So always remember, we don't have to do too much, we just need a hint of clouds. So that's what we did here. So a little bit of blue color, we have negative space in between, mountains are clearly visible far at distance, and this is a kind of landscape we have. Now we need some vertical objects into the landscape to make it more realistic. When you add some vertical object into your landscape, you will start seeing it in a very different way. So always remember, we should have some vertical object. But before that, I have added brown color in between these grounds, so some extra texture and pattern is important. So I'm adding something like this. It is optional, and you can make your own brown combining all the three primary colors, or you can have directly from the palette also. So just blend it with the help of clean water. We don't need a patch of brown. Little brown color is also visible here and there, so that is something we need to achieve. Now I'm creating a nice green color, mixing phthalo green and a little bit of blue into it, and I'm creating some vertical objects. So I'm creating here a pine tree. So I'm going to create 3 to 4 pine trees here, and I have shown you in my previous video, when we are concentrating more on the pine tree, how we can create it, right? So you can either start with the lighter color and then you can add darker color and create something like this, or else you can start with the darker color like I did, and then you can blend it with the help of water, so that you will automatically get little lighter color in between. So this much is also fine. As you can see, we can clearly see some pine trees at distance. You can do a little bit extra as well. So I'm blending it with the help of clean water, getting some lighter color in between. Now I think we can add couple of more pine trees on the opposite direction as well, but this time I'm keeping it smaller in size. because I want to show these trees at distance as compared to my previous batch of trees. So the funda is simple. You need to keep the color lighter for the distance element, and you need to keep the smaller size of trees for distance trees. So that's what we need to do, and a little bit of extra color around the edge, and we are pretty much done with this particular landscape. And if you want, you can have a little bit of visible grasses and flowers in the foreground. Now when your sheet is dry, you can have a little bit of grasses around there, which is quite visible. So you can have some vertical lines in a different direction. You can do this with a smaller brush, or else you can use tip of your brush to do something like this. These are little visible grasses, and then you can have a little bit of flowers in there. Now I'm using red color, and I'm adding red patches like this around the vertical lines that we have created to make it look like these are the small flowers visible. Then you can use orange color, blue color, or whatever color you want to have in this particular area. We have already painted everything in the green, so it is difficult to highlight these flowers, so use concentrated colors. And then with the help of dry brush, you can add little extra texture around with the help of brown color. So this is totally optional. If you want, you can have something like this. And we are done with today's video. Hope this video is easy and simple to follow, and please do let me know if you have any kind of feedback for me. And thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next video.